Charlton Hwende in trouble for praising Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Why the backlash? What do you think about Gaddafi? Was he a saint? Did he deserve to die? What about the local people and all the praises that we are now seeing coming out? This is what we're going to be looking at today. Hello and welcome to JCTV Africa, where we look at issues that are happening in Zimbabwe and across Africa. Today we are in Libya. What does Libya stand for? And why was Muammar Gaddafi killed? What does Libya stand for? And is it right for Charlton Hwende to praise Colonel Muammar Gaddafi? A few months ago, I met a man who is from Libya. He fled Libya some years back in the 90s after being persecuted and some of his relatives killed by Muammar Gaddafi. He did not speak good about the man. He said that he was ruthless. This is a view from a Libyan. This is how he views Muammar Gaddafi. However, in that same conversation, when I spoke to him, he said, but the country was good. The country thrived. The country had good roads and everything was good. Always we have to look at what the locals think about someone. Right now, if you ask someone who was affected by Hundi, they will tell you that Mugabe was bad. Mugabe was not good. There is nothing good that I can talk about Mugabe. Why? It's because of their experience. But then we look at the bigger picture of things. What was the country like then under Mugabe in the first 10 years? Wasn't it thriving? Didn't we export a lot of things? It was good. There are some positives that we can pick up from Mugabe that even up to now we are still enjoying. Some of them I cannot mention them here, but you know them. However, truth must be told. We must be able to condemn what our African brothers, leaders would have done without sugarcoating that. Then the other thing is, why was he killed? We all know why was he killed. His stance on ending petrodollar. What is petrodollar? Just to those who don't know, petrodollar is a system that uses the United States dollars for the purchasing of oil. It happened in the 70s, and it was a deal between America and Saudi Arabia that they were going to sell their oil in the US dollar. And US dollar is now been used in many countries as a means of transaction. So, when Muammar Gaddafi wanted this to be removed, to have a currency that can be used like the euro to back the African resources, this was going to threaten the petrodollar that was introduced in the 70s. That's why they could have none of it. I'll put a link of that video and why it all happened. Then I want to come to the issue about our African leaders. The problem that we have with our African leaders is, let me give for example. Our leaders are like an abusive husband who has a beautiful wife that everyone else can see her beauty, but the husband is seeing a punching bag. So what then happens? Someone, a predator, probably someone who's not married, will approach this woman and say, I can take you out of your misery. I can take you out of this abusive relationship. And then they propose love to this woman. And they convince this woman to leave their husband. But the abusive husband will then say, this man snatched my wife or took my wife. This is the scenario that we find ourselves in as Africa. We have leaders that know they have beautiful countries. They've got their countries that are being envied by the whole world. And this country that is being envied by the whole world, they abuse the resources that are in there. And the citizens are the ones that are suffering. Then someone who has got interest in the citizens who seems to be having interest in the citizens, who approach the citizens and say, look, I can get rid of your abusive husband. I can take you. I can take care of you. That's how Africans are then lured into these deals that caused the oust of Muammar Gaddafi, that caused a lot of coups in Africa. I think we have more than 47 coups that have been held since the formation of the Organization of African Unity. Why? It's because our leaders, when they get into power, they get drunk with power and they forget that there is someone who is eyeing for their wife, which is the citizens. That is my submission on what happened to Gaddafi. He could have solved some of the issues without allowing a loophole for the West to topple him. Yes, he was a good leader in terms of administering the economy, having reserves, helping the African continent, and his vision for Africa was great. Let's not make no mistake about it. But he left a loophole for the Americans to exploit. You don't let your guard off when you know that someone is eyeing for your wife. You have to stay on your toes and make sure that you protect your family. This is the problem that we are facing in Africa. And that is why we have a problem of interference from these big boys who come in and they interfere in your affairs and they end up messing up your country. Let's come back to the stance of Mr. Hwende. Mr. Hwende and Triple C, they seem to be, warming up to the Gaddafi's vision. It is a good vision. It should be celebrated. However, we should not forget the atrocities that were committed by Gaddafi and some of the things that the local people say. We should recognize that and should say there was another path that could have been walked. There was another path that Zimbabwe could have walked if they had not done this. That's why even Mugabe once said that it was a moment of madness that could have been avoided. So we should be able to celebrate the good things and point out the bad things that would have happened in our leadership. As a husband who has got a wife who is being envied by others, you have to keep your guard. Otherwise, someone is there to snatch your wife from you. That's all that I have for you today. Tell me what you think in the comment section. What do you think about Muammar Gaddafi and the Triple C stance and Charlton Hwende's stance on the Libyan leader? I'll see you on the next episode. Please subscribe to JCTV Africa. And other videos that I've done, they're in the pinned comments. You have a good day.